And welcome back to episode 44 of The Hunt. Today, it's just Benny and I. Jared might join later on, but until then, mate, it's just you and I.
Too busy baking cakes.
Too busy baking
Cooking
cakes.
in the sun.
Cooking in the sun. Getting sunburned ahead of his big comp. Speaking of comps, I'm going to have a can of Monster. You're going to have a can of Sody.
Can of
Are
soda,
you
mate.
tapering your caffeine for this weekend?
No. I just got to take pre before I train, so I got another couple of hours.
Oh, today?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Got another squat single.
Real quick, how is that going? How are you shaping up for Perth Cup this weekend?
Yeah, good. I feel good. Just doing a couple of manipulations for body weight at the moment. I'm literally sitting like 1 kilo over, so it's super chill.
Yeah, cool.
Taper is slowly hitting. I actually feel very sore in the upper body, which is a bit different for me. Like I normally don't really get it, but
Even at the end of the block?
time, yeah, like it's all right. Like it's just because I ran a 4 week into a taper week.
Yeah.
4 weeks is my usual length, so I'm kind of feeling that like week one itis in the upper, but I still feel strong. Like
Cool.
I benched 147 yesterday and it was fine. So
That's good.
Yeah.
And I guess to everyone competing at Perth Cup this weekend, best wishes, best of luck. Bit of cash up for grabs as well.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, we had our own comp on the weekend. We had Showdown, which is quote unquote like usually our biggest comp of the year because everyone wants to try and get their qualifying total on the platform ahead of the next nationals in the following year. So we had a massive day. We had 2 sessions, full flights of 14 lifters, which was really, really busy. I think you had like a record number of clients in one session.
I did, yeah. I had 10 in session 1, 4 in flight A, and then 6 in flight B.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then, I had 3 in the Arvo.
Yeah.
So it was like having a vacation in session 2. Well needed.
All needed. Do you reckon like after doing it, you know, are you going to suggest your clients to do all the same comp again? Or like do you kind of accept the fact, you know, people want to do a comp close to home? And I think that's true to sound when it comes to the locals that actually aren't at the national level yet. They just want to do a comp where they have to spend much money on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just depends on like what outcomes they want out of the day and how much attention they actually want, or the experience rather. And if they're going to prioritize, you know, being close to home at the home gym, home crowd, all their family and friends there, as opposed to like traveling to Sydney or something and having more attention from myself because there's less athletes there. They can just make that decision on their own.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing is that if they're all beginners, it makes it really, really difficult.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know. Well, you had someone bomb out because they kept missing a start command on squat. You know what I mean? And whilst you're trying to juggle that with like 2 other lifters that are probably competing at the first comp, you've also got the opposing flight, people needing to warm up, and you've got to be on top of that as well. It is really hard, but I think that's part of the job. Like considering like, you know, how often we have competitions throughout the year where we do get to compete or coach alongside our athletes in our home gym. I think like it's almost worth it, you know, like having those stresses. Yeah, we're fucked for a couple of days after it, but you know, we come back around quite good. And we just laugh about how good of a time it was, not how bad of a time it was.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just like, you know, it's definitely gets to the point where you're like burning the candle at both ends, but it's for a purpose which you're happy for, so it's okay. But yeah, on the note of obviously, I unfortunately had one bomb, but that's my first one ever. But unfortunately, like, you know, Grace and I have spoke about it since, and it's just the typical first comp. Like, she literally said that she got so overstimulated by the environment that, like, she was just getting under the bar and going. And, like, she just couldn't get past that. And then immediately after squats...
By overstimulating, you mean like nerves or like...
Yeah, like overstimulated, like heightened anxiety, that type of thing. So it's kind of, like... And she had her headphones on and stuff like that to try and like zone in like normal training, I suppose. And it just didn't work the way that she intended it to. But it's just another thing that you can just learn from, take it into training, and then just apply it to your next competition. And yeah, she did that almost immediately after squats anyway, because she went 3 from 3 on bench where there's the most commands.
Literally.
But
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's all good though.
No, that's good. Well, hopefully, you know, she bounces back. A lot of other lifters bounce back. Obviously, congrats to everyone that qualified for nationals. Got a couple of people that squeezed into the Perth Cup the week after because they missed out by, you know, execution and stuff like that. Shout out Dan Lee. But yeah, that's us done at HPC for competitions for the rest of the year. Next year's massive. Really, really excited for next year because now that the gym's like more set up to host more competitions that don't require a lot of effort to set up, we can actually like give more time to get more people involved in the sport. And I think that's where, you know, it helps us as business owners, as coaches to get more leads and stuff like that, because people will want to come to the gym, check out, you know, the thing that they all train so hard towards, you know what I mean? Because that's generally the end result, is to compete and hit some PRs and obviously like get stronger. So looking forward to like establishing that into 2025. But today we're going to go over a Q&A. I put out a box this morning.
Lovely.
3 hours before this podcast.
Yeah.
And we got back a shit ton of questions, which was actually really good.
Yes.
So special thank you to everyone that did send a question in. There's a few there that I won't answer because we don't want to know the size of Benny's DICK. But in no particular order, we'll just get started, eh? So first question, favourite pre-workout meal?
Pre-workout meal?
Yeah.
Probably split this into two parts because I like to eat something that's like an actual meal early, and then I'll have like a pre-train snack prior. So I normally like to have something maybe 2 hours minimum from training. And I literally have a fucking old reliable Turkish toasty every day.
Yeah?
Every day for lunch. It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same amount of chicken on the bread. Good.
Yeah.
Like sauce, we're good. Easy.
Yeah.
It's easy. I'll sub that out for like chicken and rice sometimes.
Yeah, cool.
But that's it. And then pre-train, normally about 45 minutes before, I'll either have like a cereal bar and a piece of fruit or something along those lines. Just super like low volume and just easily digestible, because I've found recently, especially like just getting, if I eat anything too voluminous, like even a full bagel after that meal prior, get like, I don't know, discomfort from the belt. Yeah, it's just no good.
And that's the biggest difference, is how the belt feels. Mine is a little bit more specific to like competing. So if it is a primary squat or deadlift day, bench is just kind of, it doesn't really matter. But usually with the things that I'm wearing around my belly, it does make a massive difference with how my meal timings are coming into my training session. So I usually only have one meal before my primary Monday squat session and my primary deadlift session on Thursday. And if I am feeling like I need something more, then I'll just have a banana.
Yep.
So a big mistake that I see a lot of people do is they do have like sugar during their training sessions, a lot of refined sugars. But what they're missing out on is the fiber component that's located in some of those high GI foods.
Yep.
And I think that's really, really important, having the fiber added to those high GI meals where the sugar is slowly released into the bloodstream. I think that's like literally a OP.
Yep.
So I'll have either 2 sandwiches for breakfast, and I'll get like my salads in there with like bacon and eggs, good protein source. The bread that I have is Soy Lin Bergen. It's like $7 a loaf, but it's really good for your guts and you know, your shits and
Filling
stuff.
up the train track.
Yeah. Fucking. And then if I feel like I need more, then I'll have a banana. But if it's like my upper body days, and I know that a lot of my upper body sessions are quite long because there's a lot of accessories, then I'll probably have breakfast and then lunch afterwards.
Yep.
And that generally means that I'm just going to come into my sessions more fueled to get a bigger pump for those sessions. But I think that's generally it.
Yeah, I feel like as well, like because I don't eat an excessive amount, I suppose you'd say, prior to training, especially on days where I train earlier in the day. I'll mix up like a couple scoops of Powerade with my pre-workout, or I'll have it like during my first lift.
Yep.
So if I have primary squat, for instance, I'll just be sipping on it as I go.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that alludes to our previous episode, well, not previous, 3 episodes ago, how to train in summer. So go listen to that if you want to get some keys on how to train in summer. Next question. When do you guys see the gym expanding, and will there be changes to the floor hours? So I want to buy a house first, to be honest. So probably not for a while. I'm probably thinking that we're probably going to buy a house within the next year. And then after that point, once we've settled into paying, you know, a mortgage off and things like that. And when I say we, I mean Elise and I.
Yeah, not me and you.
we will then probably look at maybe 2027 when our new renewal comes around, as in we're on a 3x3x3. So every 3 years we get to discuss like if we want to buy or if we want to extend or if we want to leave. So I think we're definitely not going anywhere. But it also depends on the company next door, what they want to do. Because I can't control what they want to do. Because they may want to hang around, and that's fine. Because I'm really happy with the setup at the moment. I think it's perfect for the entire gym, the entire community. It's finally molding into a place where it, like I said before, we can run more competitions and obviously coach on the floor without any constraints or anything like that. So I don't think we're looking at expanding, honestly, within the next like 3 to 5 years. Plus as well, like we're both going back and studying soon, and I don't want to add another thing to fucking stress about, because setting up a gym is very hard.
Yeah.
And I only just finished doing it and I'm still burnt out from it. And as for changing hours on the floor, I don't think we need to, because we are pretty much over offering the product that we have here within semi-private at HPC. I understand that we don't offer morning semi-private. That's because nobody comes.
Yeah.
And the majority of our training clients or clientele do come between that like 3 and 7 p.m. hours. And I think it works really, really well.
Yeah.
And even so, I think the online product or component that we have within the coaching sphere is still really valuable.
Yeah.
Where if you are training, you don't have a coach, like you can literally hear from him that day or the next.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't like. Do you see us changing the hours?
Nah, not really. I think back to when I first started and we did do morning floor hours and Saturday morning floor hours.
That was alright.
Like, I don't know. Like, I think the way that we kind of ended up shaping it was just that I think that for us as well, like being like coaches who work outside of just what we do face to face, because we have like online support. We also do stuff like podcasting, we do programming, we do extracurriculars. We're going to be doing studying. Like, it's going to definitely fill up our, work week outside of, what we do just face to face here. And then the other thing being, I remember when I first started and Aiden was talking about removing the morning hours, was that, obviously to us, like how we perform as athletes is really important to our business too.
Big time.
So making sure that we're prioritizing our athletic pursuits as if it was part of our career as well.
Yeah.
So making sure that we don't have to get up at 6 a.m. after finishing the day before at 7.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And, making sure that we have time throughout the day to be able to train so that we can provide a good service in the afternoon, and that kind of thing. So just, I think the setup at the moment is pretty prime for our purposes overall.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So that answers that. Next one. What can powerlifting do to be more engaging for lower level lifters? Because there seems to be a lot of higher level lifters out there that get the events that they want. This probably alludes to the competition that we're looking at hosting halfway through next year, which is First Nations Cup. So obviously, like 90 GL was our entry point for the prime time where you can win some prize money. But obviously, like with how the scene is in population demographic wise, GL is kind of this thing that does skew towards more of a male dominant population than females, and I fully am aware of that. And it was sad to see last year we had no females in the prime time session, and that was never meant to be the case. It was just we didn't have any of the women with 90 plus GL wanting to compete, because they all just either did Worlds or they're looking at doing SPD Cup. Yep. So obviously that high level lifter competition availability is really like popular. So what we're going to be doing as a club is we're going to be introducing a new prime time, well not prime time, but a new level of experience for that kind of like intermediate to beginner level athlete. So with First Nations prime time next year, we're going to basically have a benchmark of 75 GL. And basically you can win first, second, third prize money in a combination of male or female competitors. And basically the biggest difference in your GL score from when you competed last wins the prize money, but the benchmark is 75. Yeah. So say, for example, you come in, your GL 76 and you compete, and then you finish on a GL of 88. Obviously, that's a difference of 13. And 13 is quite a massive jump, and therefore you could be first, second, or third to win a decent amount of prize money. Not only does it kind of like minimize the costs for the business to supply the prize money, and obviously the sponsors and the strain and such, but it increases the pool of prize money that can win as well. Yep. So it could be like a female, male, 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 female, male, first, second, third. And I think that fixes that solution not only for the beginner and intermediate level lifter, but also it provides something to strive and achieve for those people who are on the brim of getting into nationals and hitting those QTs. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. It's at a good time in the year too.
Yeah.
Obviously, if anyone does miss out on nationals, like they're going to have that, 6-month period where they can have some good training leading into that comp. Yeah. And then enough time, hopefully they'll hit the QT there and then move on to nationals later.
And planning on trying to make it a massive prize pool because we only have 3 places to give.
Yep.
So if you're listening to this, keep that in the back of your mind. We haven't really advertised it yet. That's going to start towards next year. But that's something to look forward to. Got a question for you, mate.
All right. Here we go.
Can you test positive having sex with someone on gear?
That's insane.
Can you?
Can you?
Yeah.
Mate, I don't know. That's some...
Not like you could talk on experience.
Like,
but
I don't want to say no because I don't want to be hit with the, well, Benny said that fucking...
yeah. The Sada's knocking
then
on the door.
I went and shagged so-and-so and then I got water at my door. Bruh.
I think it's all right. Like, fuck, you know.
Surely it's fine.
You reckon? Even though it's
How
near
you-
your urinal region, you know?
Brother.
You know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah,
you
I
got a
know
piss
you-
test. I'm sure you have a shower, though.
Bruh. Have a shower. Yeah, no, you just...
Fucking hell.
Oh, mate. Anyway, moving on.
So, yes or no?
What was...
Like,
how
can
is it-
you
how
test
is it-
positive if you have sex with
No.
someone? Okay, yeah, I
No.
agree. Yeah. That's good. We'll move on. Overrated, underrated, properly rated, cluster sets.
Cluster sets. Underrated.
Underrated.
Yeah.
I was going to say properly rated.
Yeah.
What do you think underrated?
I just think they're like underutilized for a lot of people.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That's why I'm calling them underrated.
Yeah.
But I think their application is like very significant.
Yeah, I think you could throw cluster sets and like reset reps in the same sort of category.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like when you go out to lift a certain load on a bar, mainly in deadlifting, we see cluster sets being used quite a fair bit. You get 10 singles and you just get to practice like doing the one thing because that's the one thing you do on comp day. And I think that carryover is like quite valuable.
Absolutely, yeah. I think specifically with the deadlift because you find so many people losing position when they try to chain reps together.
Yeah.
So it kind of removes like them feeding into their bad habits, which are essentially going to just reflect at their top end when they go for that single inevitably.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would say properly rated just because it's really fucking good. But for some people, it would work awfully. And that's usually for the people who are quite efficient, don't need, you know, cluster sets. Because it's mainly a setup technique thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it can lead to, you know, being just like overly fatiguing because you're resetting every single rep. More so with reset reps than clusters.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Cool. Moving on. Next one is Goose the weakest paramedic? So Goose is Angus Ellicott, one of my clients. I'm just trying to think who other paramedics we know. We know Jados, but she's a student.
Yeah.
If you're going off
You've
GL,
got a paramedic that trains here. No?
No, he left.
Oh,
yeah. He got stationed out near Birmingham Gardens and it was just too far to travel.
Fair. There you go.
Goose was stronger than him anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Yeah, sorry, Jesse. But Jados, she's obviously one of our staff members. What would her GL be? Like 90?
About 90.
And Goose is about 88, so I think he misses out there.
Yeah, I think he...
Fucking hell.
I think he's got done.
Well, he's got his Nationals QT comp. Well, not Nationals QT, but he has a comp this weekend. Or no, next weekend. So...
That could be the goal.
That could be the goal, mate.
Jados.
Yeah, take out Jados. Fucking oath. All right, next one. Can you avoid comparing yourself to others?
I feel like you can
Yeah.
if you work at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that it's very hard to do.
Well, like, when is it a bad thing?
I feel like it's a bad thing when you're comparing yourself to others and you're not even competitive yet.
Yeah.
The only time it's valid to be able to compare yourself to other people is if you're going to literally compete against them in the sense that it's a close battle to win for either of you.
Yeah.
That's at the point where you can start to break down, okay, well, this needs to be the plan of action to win.
And that's when it's good, right?
That's when it's good.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So like if you're comparing yourself to someone that is fucking at level 10, and I'm talking levels in years here, and you're at level 3,
mate, yeah.
like, fuck.
It's
like,
a classic, right? You don't compare chapters. You're on chapter 1, they're on chapter 13.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. So I think it can be useful. I also think it can be detrimental. But, you know, fucking, even though you coach some clients, like, they're probably not even going to listen to you when you say, like, look, don't worry about what they're fucking doing, but you're still going to compare them. And I think it just comes down to experience. Like, over time, you'll realize how exhausting it is to, you know, worry about what the other person's doing when really you should just be focusing on what you can control.
Yeah.
Because you can't determine how fast you get stronger or how fast they get stronger, Like you can only facilitate it by just having good mental, low stress, good training quality, all that shit.
I suppose like something that you could use for a comparison when you're not thinking about so much like what they're lifting objectively is more like how do you compare in the effort that you put into training compared to this person?
Yeah.
You know, or how much time has this person put in compared to you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that can just rationalize your comparison a little more.
Like you're working harder than this other cunt.
Yeah. You want to think so.
You want to
at least know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it can also be positive because you can look at some people and be like, man, they're working so hard. I need to be like that.
Yeah. You can twist it like that. Yeah. That's good. All right, moving on. We're flying through these. Fucking hell. Here we go. You'll like this one.
Yeah, go on.
Is there a song that is literally so hyped that it's literally dangerous? Like it is fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What is it?
I've got a few, Mike, oh man, Please End Me by Paleface Swiss at the moment. That's my crazy
fucked,
one.
mate.
That one is proper naughty.
Is that like deep groaning?
Heavy deathcore, like insane. Crazy shit.
I'm scared.
Yeah, it is a fucking pretty scary one. That one's good. Also, Maze of Punishment by Sudden Death. I'm pretty sure.
What are these fucking songs, mate?
Bro, so sick.
Fucking
Have you
hell.
ever heard that? It's the
No.
intro to his Void 2 album. So sick,
Fucking
bro.
hell, it sounds like
it's very it's like they're full on.
Yeah.
But it's just like it takes you into a different
These songs
state, bro.
sound like where like I've just died. Like the staircase to heaven's there, and then the staircase down's there, and then mate's going, look, head down there, and I walk out the stairs, and all I can hear is like, fucking, what's the song called?
Yeah. Maze of Punishment.
Maze of Punishment just blaring. I'm thinking, fuck, I'm in the shit here.
Low key, bro.
So when are you listening to that?
Oh, that's only for squats and deadlifts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No way for anything else.
Fuck that, bro. I'd shit
pretty
myself
sure
before I
that's
even
one.
pick it up.
Nah, it's good.
And then I'll shit myself after it.
Vibe is good.
Shout out, Mitch Brown.
Shout out, bro. No, yeah, I reckon what's that one he likes?
Yeah.
What's that one? Like
Him?
It's kind of like it's like the Celtic jig.
fucking-
You know the one.
Something up to Boston. Shipping up to Boston.
Yeah, you like that.
That's a fucking, I don't mind that. That's good. And then Riff Raff AC/DC. It's classic.
And To the Hellfire by Lorna Shore. That,
Why don't I know any of these?
because these are like so niche, I probably got like less than 2 people listening who know what this is. And one of them's Dan Lee.
And Blair Taylor.
Oh, I'm Blair. And MJ.
MJ.
Yeah, MJ likes it.
He never puts that shit on.
I don't know, he rates it.
Yeah, right.
His misso likes it, so.
He was just trying to bond with you, mate. You know, he likes to look at you.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
No comment.
Well, fuck, let me fucking get mine out.
Yeah,
It's nothing like that.
Yeah, no.
This is actually really fucking sensitive. Like, there's a song. My uncle passed away when I was 1 year old, and he died in a bull riding accident. Well, it wasn't bull riding. He was a bull rider, and he was loading bulls onto a back of a truck. Like you know how they get the cattle up there. Anyway, he turned his back on a bull to make it, like, push another bull into the end of the carriage. And then as he's turned around, he got charged by the bull that was coming up, and the horn punctured him, and he bled to death.
Holy shit.
So at his funeral, they had a rodeo, and my mum and there was another 2 ladies, they wrote a song about him. And that song that they wrote, it's like hell. Like, it's warming to hear. Like, I'll show you one day what it is.
Yeah, okay.
But, like, it's just so heartfelt, and the lyrics is just so nice. Like, just reflecting his memory. And it's all about being a cowboy and fucking, like, making everyone laugh and being a character. And they talk about, like, mum, his other sister Denise, and parents Ken and Joy, like my grandparents, and the dog, Penny. So, like, there's a lot of like familial like content in that song that reads close to me, but it's also a fucking banger.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily need like the riff raff that you listen to to kind of get amped up, because it comes from more of a sentimental place.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to say it. I was going to say more emotional, but
Yeah.
yours is obviously incredibly emotional.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of like, it comes from a place that's so deep inside me that like, it just makes me feel like I'm doing everything for the legacy of my family because of the death of my uncle.
So much to it.
Yeah.
That's deep as. That's
Yeah.
nice. I
So
like that.
shout out Paul Hodges up there.
Yeah. Nah, the emotional stuff's so good.
It's
too.
fucking,
I
yeah.
definitely got some slappers like that, but I can't think of many off the top of my dome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Viva Loco, Ricky Martin.
That's Logan's PR track.
Fucking hell.
Love that.
Next question. What 3 more left? Do you consider personalities when prescribing a program? Fucking oath. I think the biggest personality is just the person who loves to overshoot because they just love to push.
Yeah.
That's like probably the most relatable one.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, just it's hard because like I don't know when I contextualize like personality, I'm not necessarily thinking about like that as their personality, but just their tendency to execute the program, like whether they're going hard or whether they're not. I suppose so. But yeah, looking at it that way is a very good way to put it. Yeah.
I think like it's also like good when people are able to identify their own personality and they know what their like characteristics are and what traits they hold. So it does help you write the program. So I think if you are one of those athletes that you don't understand the way that you tick inside your mind, it's probably best to just try and work on it and identify that and know when those things are happening.
Yeah.
Because it helps the coach like able to, you know, dissect the program in a way that is tailored towards you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you know, you could potentially be missing out on getting a more of an optimal program.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the coach just has to be really good at identifying and reading personalities too.
Yeah, I think as well, like beyond just like pushing and pulling back, it's like the thing that I can probably resonate most with this question is understanding whether people are like get overstimulated by cueing to the point that they can't execute or they like overthink, and at which point like you can start to prescribe like accessory and variation work to make sure that they don't have to think it, like the execution of the variation does it for them and makes them move a certain way. And then that's the same way.
You're fucking really good at that.
Yeah, and it's like prehab, like, or I wouldn't call them prehab, but it's just kind of like brainless corrective exercise for movement, either the day prior or day of doing something in SBD, so that you move better.
Yeah. I would also say like over time, like with your roster, you generally begin to mold the roster that you have to match the service you can provide, knowing how to read their personality.
Yeah.
So like I would say like Stephen Day is a classic example. Like his athletes are all pretty much the exact same people as not what he is, but like the type of athlete he likes to coach.
Yeah.
Because he's been around so long, and I obviously know a lot of his clients, and I know him very well. It kind of makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like the more I spend time with you, and obviously you with me, perhaps like we probably start to see, oh, like this person really suits you because of like the way that you are. You know what I mean? So I think over time, like generally people will fall into the voids that need to be filled on each other's rosters, and that's where personality, I think, plays its part.
Yeah.
2 more. Here we go. What are your pet peeves at competition?
Pet peeves? Oh, not knowing your next warm up.
Yeah.
Oh, bro,
Yeah.
that one's really annoying. The worst one, the absolute worst one is like when you're running on time, and most people are quite aware that like when I say go, and I'm not even talking about my own athletes here because I make sure I'm like, when I say go, you better be ready, or I'm going to tell you you're going next, you start wrapping up. Okay? And I'll tell the order. The thing that annoys me the most is when
They don't go.
someone has an athlete working in on the same rack, and they're just not considerate of that timing at all in terms of they might be going in the middle of the cohort. And for instance, athlete 1 has just finished their warm up. Their athlete 2, their coach goes, all right, mate, you ready? Bro's tying up his shoelace, then doing his wrist wraps, and then like all of this. Like I had one instance with this at nationals, and I was just like, can you hurry up?
It takes 3 minutes.
Like, can you hurry up? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've got someone who's meant to go 1 minute after you, and you've just taken 3 minutes to put your shit on.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't be like you don't be like that about it. Like, you know, when you're in the flesh, but it's definitely something that's super irritating.
Yeah. I'm a bit different. If that happened to me, I'm fucking like, mate, I don't care. Go find another act, like, and just start changing the plates. Like,
No.
Yeah. Like, if you're at nationals, especially, like, you're a coach, you got to be fucking on top of your shit.
Oh, bro, yeah. You have to be
and your
heaps.
athletes because they're national athletes. They need to be on top of their shit as well. They understand how like important the timing is in the white room.
Yeah.
Pet peeves for me, like, fuck, like, other than what you already said, it's more so the things that I notice from like a gym owner, meet director standpoint, like, like controlling the music and like having it not cut out. Like, we've had issues with that here, and we've fixed that, thankfully. Platform quality, like, it's got to actually, like, platform quality is so underrated. Like, it comes with experience on how to make a good platform, and we're slowly getting better at it. Every single time we're changing the platform. So I would say, like, making sure that it's a really good platform, the carpet's sticky, it doesn't slip, it holds together, it doesn't divot, all that sort of shit. Like, that's really it. Like,
leaving a fucking mess.
Leaving a mess.
As a coach or an athlete.
Oh, mate, like, the amount of fucking gummies I picked up off the ground.
Yeah.
And then ate them. No, but just like, just simple shit like that. Clean your stuff up.
Yeah.
Last question, mate. What determines a strong squat stance? I personally go to the classic, like, all right, fucking get ready, jump as high as you can. And then wherever your feet take off from, that's your squat stance, generally speaking.
Yep.
Yeah. But then you get these abnormalities, like people who are really like long-limbed and they have to stand wide because they have to hinge so much, and you can't hinge from a close stance position. So people like fucking David Wilson, I think his name's David.
David?
Is it David?
Yeah.
Wilson? Yeah.
Sure.
He stands out from Perth to Sydney.
Hella wide.
Yeah. And he folds. But like, I very highly doubt that's his strongest jumping position, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, like, there are abnormalities like that, but generally speaking, if you're a long-legged person, that's probably going to be the strongest stance for you, just being a bit wider than, like, us two shorties.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
Not really. It's just, like, it's very individual. Wherever you can feel your legs the most, that's literally it. And where you can feel them consistently across, like, different variations, like belt squatting, like pendulum squatting.
Yeah.
Like barbell squatting, low bar, high bar.
Yeah, it's probably the only time where like you would need to look at a side angle to see what the bar's doing too. Like if the bar is drifting forward as you're trying to squat, you're probably standing too narrow because like you're running out of room to center your mass back. So by standing wider, you should straighten up a little bit, not focus on mid-foot pressure. Just stand wider, displace the foot position, and then you should be able to find your center of mass. And it's the inverse as well. If you're going too far back, you might need to stand more narrow so you can get further forward.
Yeah.
So that's probably like the general gist is the strongest position. But bottom line, just do what's comfortable.
Yeah.
Fucking, if you feel strong, keep doing it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back with overrated, underrated, properly rated. Thank you very much for listening so far. We'll see you in a sec. All right, we're back. So Benny has promised me that his is the best one he's ever thought of in his entire life.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I said it could be good. Nice.
But I'll kick it off. Fuck. All right, I've remembered. Properly rated, overrated, underrated. The standard of qualifying totals in APA. It's fucking a bit tricky, that one. 3, 2, 1.
Properly rated.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah. No, I rate it too. For years, it's been shit where, like, everyone gets to go to nationals. And from growing up at a young age, like, if I'm going to nationals for a sport, like, I had to fucking bust my ass to get there.
Yeah.
Like, it's rowing, rugby, fucking basketball, whatever it may be. It's hard as fuck to get to nationals.
100%. It should be, like, a prestigious thing.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm glad people are missing out because, like, it should take years. You know what I mean? It's taken me years to get to nationals, even if I had the same QTs back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm glad you agree.
Absolutely. I think it's really good. Just adds a bit more prestige to the like sporting pathways that we have within powerlifting. And then obviously it's just done good things for the local level meets as well. So
and I think as long as like the local clubs and affiliates are addressing the standard of lifting for those people who do not meet qualifying totals, it's going to help keep those lifters in the sport and progressing towards something. Yeah. Because so many lifters, right? They have nationals QTs the goal, but they don't have anything in between. And I think that's really important to stay on track. And as long as the clubs and the coaches are working really hard to like, you know, break down their goals into shorter term achievable things, then I think it's really, really good for them and it's good for the sport.
Yeah, I think it's good for like the intermediate lifter as well to have like the Nats QT to be something to work towards instead of just being gifted like a pass to nationals essentially, like which has been the case in the past.
Yep.
I think it's good for that because typically like if you can just get to nationals really, really easily, the only next step is then an international comp, and it's like that's a big jump.
Big
You know
jump.
what I mean? Instead
Huge
of having
jump.
it kind of like drip fed down
Yep.
the lines. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Alrighty, your turn, mate.
Cool. All right. So mine, overrated, underrated, properly rated, load capping your athletes. 3, 2, 1. Underrated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I properly rated.
Fuck, it's the same thing, eh? Pretty
Same
much.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You go first.
All right. So essentially, like with my experience in load capping athletes, I think it just comes from the perspective where people are still learning RPE because it takes a long time for them to like really understand it and really understand like, oh shit, like that was actually harder than I rated it at, especially from a beginner standpoint, 9 times out of 10. As you move into the intermediate category, I think that load capping is such a great way for you to have control over how the athlete paces their blocks, because like you're always going to have the greatest idea of what's going to happen or how you want a block length to unfold and how you want the macro cycle to unfold as well. And it's always good to sit down and, you know, have these discussions with your own athletes and things like that. But there is a certain level of communication that the athlete has to ask from you to understand those questions or the answers to those questions.
Yeah.
And a lot of time, like I think that people come in and if they just have a number that they can hit, they just like are just ready to go. Like they're just like, okay, cool. This is what I'm doing today. Done. I have a few athletes, like, you know, specifically people who are like in the intermediate category who are a little bit older, like closer to 30, like, you know, full-time work and stuff like that. Last thing they want to do when they come to the gym is think, oh fuck, now I've got to figure out, like, you know what I mean? Where am I going to start, project, how do I feel today, blah, 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 all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that it's very, very valuable.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, yeah, you can pretty much break it down into 2 categories. You've got the people that need the load because they just don't know RPE very well, or you've got the people that don't know RPE very well because they always overshoot.
Yep.
Or undershoot. Like, there's some people that do undershoot. Shout out Anthony Dimich from Melbourne.
Yeah, I had that with Lene in this prep.
Yeah, like was not pushing his secondary days at all. Like not hard enough because like the way we program secondary days, 2 things. It's got to set you up either for the primary day because you need the technical exposure, or B, it carries through the adaptations from one primary session to the next primary session and simply just trying to carry the fatigue through to the next week. And sometimes those secondary days actually need to be hard enough and stimulating enough to create those neurological adaptations.
Yeah.
So as long as, I guess, like you as the coach understand what sort of load cap the athlete needs, and the athlete understands that, then I think there's no reason why you can't load cap for a benefit for all parties. I think the most common we see is that people just overshoot and they don't understand that, like, you know, how momentum works in some cases. And if you're struggling to find momentum, it could be a number of things. It could be literally completely separate to the program. Like, cortisol is such an important hormone when it comes to creating momentum. Like, if you're having stress in any part of your life, like relationships, work, financial, fucking friendships, like, I don't know, the new COD release just came out and you're fucking stressing about getting scud in your next map type thing. Like, all these stresses really, really do add up, and they can actually, like, stop you from adapting to the stimulus. And load capping is just one of those tools that can help you adapt when things are getting really intense. So I reckon it's fucking properly rated. I think it takes a coach to have some balls to properly to cap their athletes.
I think that's a massive one. And I think, like, coming back to what you said about, like, momentum and, like, you know, running block into block into block and just trying to slowly chip away over periods of time, like, so many athletes and a lot of people who powerlift are always looking to push themselves hard and want to PR, then PR again, then PR again.
And we want them to push.
Of course we do, but you all, like, if you can finish sub-maximally, block after block, and then get into the territory where you're PRing sub-maximally, and therefore you just keep it there, it'll be non-stop blocks of it. You'll be PRing for a year, hopefully,
we have this saying,
if your life allows it.
We have this saying in the gym where we talk about, like, having RPE PRs. Like, it's not an absolute load that you haven't done before, but it moves faster than the last time you did it. Or, like, I see kilos that can go on that bar, but it doesn't have to go on the bar right now because I know it's there. Like, we don't have to do it to induce more fatigue because what we're doing right now is working. And sometimes as athletes, it's really hard to accept that, like, you don't have to do the thing to you don't have to do the thing to call that you've done the thing. Yep. Like, it's just called reading the play and having, I guess, good like long-term vision and development for not only the athlete but obviously the program itself.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, that will do. That was a really good episode. I think we went for like 45 there, mate, which is nice.
Yep, excellent. Very good.
Hope you guys enjoyed the new setup. 3 cameras. Got one wide lens, one for the live stream, which worked really, really well. But we'll conclude it there. If you can leave a rating on Spotify, 5 stars, or a like on YouTube, that'd be great. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow on us on Instagram and Spotify. Until next time, episode 45. See you then.